everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Stephen and Walter Live. Hopefully, technology is working today. It should be. I'm just testing it here on the monitor to make sure you can hear and see us. And there we are. Yep, we're good. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, so hope everybody's doing well today. Temperature here. We always talk about the weather, don't we?
25.
It's 25, which is not bad. Well, that's 80.
Is that 80?
That's about 80. Yeah, well, 25 and 25 is 50 plus 30. That's 80, roughly.
Okay, yeah, all right.
80, 79 to 51. So I know it's probably hotter, a lot hotter than that in other spots of the world. I know down in the United States, you guys have been having quite a heat wave. We were last week, but got that all done up now? Good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting there playing with your...
It's still been warm, even though it's been cloudy.
Yeah.
It's not cloudy now.
What was it like when you went out to get the car?
It's pretty warm.
Oh. Yeah, today we might not be our full time and you're going yay. Well, no, you shouldn't go yay, you're here. But didn't twist your arm or anything. But we're scheduled to go over to my sister's for dinner tonight. So I told her we'd be there around 6-ish or a little bit before. So she's about a half an hour away from us. So we have to get on our horse right after this and get going to that. And well, before we go on with anything else, let's see who's all joining us this afternoon. We have got lots of people. Brenda is here. She's number one, right in here first. Hope you're feeling better, Brenda. I know you have been having some trouble. And Lewis is here. Hi, Lewis. And Barb, she says it's 25 degrees out in Calgary, too. So we're about
wow,
the same.
right across Canada.
Yep. Don is here, and Patsy, and Cindy. Cindy was in at the Stephanie's and Shannon's retreat. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes, if you don't know what that was all about. Karen is here. Pamela. Derek is here. Jackie. Probably Arizona. I bet you it's hot in Arizona. Suzanne is here, and Sandra from Texas, and Carrie. And Lewis is Stephen, glad I saw your video about the 1/4 inch was having the same problem and the HP foot fixed it. Thanks. Well, you're welcome. Yeah, I exclusively use the HP foot now. I never used to, but it is very, very accurate for a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Em is here. Hi, Em. Lydia is here as well, and Grant. Hello from a sweltering 97 degrees Fahrenheit in Southern California. Well, I don't know. I was going to say I don't mind the heat, but I don't know if I'd want that. Creative Lynn is here. Faith is here. Hi, Faith. And Inez is here. And Stephanie's here. Are you still at the retreat, Stephanie, as well, doing double dipping? And Inez says it's summer here, 28 this afternoon, but we have little humidity. Walter's disappearing. Sandra says it's 101 in Texas. Whoa. Marilyn's here. Andy's here. Dubrovka is here from Timmins. And for those of you that may not know where Timmins is way the heck up in the northern part of Ontario. And I mean, way up there. Jackie says it's 102 in Phoenix. And Joan is here. And Elsa. Hi, Elsa. And yep, Stephanie's double dipping. We're going to talk about a little bit about what she's double dipping in for those of you that might not be aware. What are you looking for?
I hear a weird noise.
Might be
clicking noise.
Oh, that's just your brain rattling around what's left of it in your head.
Is that how the furnace normally sounds when you're in here?
I don't hear a click. No, the clicking noise is the little things behind you that are rotating.
No, I hear something else. It's like there's a engine running.
Okay, Walter's losing his mind, as if you hadn't realized it. I don't hear what you're hearing. An engine running. I hear the furnace running, the air conditioning. I hear my little things going around. Oh, God. Squirrel. Okay, we'll just carry on without him. All right, so.
Lefty's a furnace.
Have you got that figured out now?
I don't know. I hear something running that bothers me.
The pitter patter of little feet. You hear things in the attic. You hear things in the closet. You hear things in the drains. You hear things. Yeah, first signs of dementia. Okay, what were we talking about? Well, we're going through uh the heat everybody is having. And Pace is here, Melissa is here, Sue. Um, Congratulations winning the Jelly Roll race quilt. Nope, there weren't any winners. I certainly didn't win with it. You have to remember too, Stephanie was doing two at the same time. Yeah. Okay. Wasn't really a race, but whatever. Susan's here. Monkey Man is here. Tornado watch for them in NH. Is that? Oh, that's New Hampshire and Maine. A tornado all that way up there. Mm-hmm. Wow. And Lydia says she didn't hear anything either, Walter. So, and Sue likes your shirt, Walter.
Thank you.
You've seen it before.
Yeah, I made it a little while ago.
Yeah, he's just down to the buttons on.
I have to do the buttons yet on the other shirt that I'm making too.
Here comes the excuses.
But he enrolled me in this class today.
Oh, yeah, all my fault. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, we're coming to that. Anyways, so welcome everybody. So what have I been working on? Well, just give you a quickie little peek here because I'll be talking about this in more detail on Idiot Quilter on Tuesday. Let me switch the camera. Here we go. So you've seen, are you going to live?
No.
You're really becoming annoying. You really are. Jeez. Drink some water. Maybe you'll drown. So this is I did all the blocks in the Underground Railroad, but I also have it all. The top is almost done. I have one little thing I want to add to the border on it.
Sorry.
You're an idiot. No, you're worse than an idiot. You're just a plain asshole.
You're the idiot.
You're an asshole.
You're quilting like an idiot today.
There were reasons for that. Never mind. We'll come to that. So anyways, I will be showing what that quilt looks like, what the quilt top on Tuesday. And I do have a couple of more blocks. I've got 6 blocks now. You don't see them in this picture of this, but it's coming together. That's the In the Hoop, A Haunting Scene, it's called. And I have put links in the show notes for the Underground Railroad book and for the file, because I know you're going to ask me about that. So I'm trying to remember in my show notes to everything that I mention, I talk about, I show you, to make sure I have a link in the show notes if there's a link to be had. So you'll find that there. And this is an In the Hoop project too. It's a beach bag. And I love the way it turned out. It's really great. They're not hard to do. They only look hard. It has pockets on the side. And I'll talk about all the details of that come next episode of Idiot Quilter on Tuesday. So Walter was working madly on my shirt, I guess. He hasn't got anything to show you because it still looks the same. There's no buttons on it.
No, I had to put a pocket on it last week. Yes, I did.
Oh, you got the
pocket. I got the pocket on.
Did you have a problem with the pocket?
No.
I thought you were cursing something.
No.
Oh.
No, the pocket. No, I was almost afraid that I didn't have enough material for the pocket because it needs to match the pattern, right? Well, it doesn't have to match the pattern, but I like matching the pattern. And I was afraid I didn't have enough fabric for that. I have leftover fabric, but not necessarily the part that was where the pocket had to go. But yeah, I found it. There were a couple of designs I could use. Yeah, well, I wasn't really cursing it.
That's your signature feature on all of your shirts, the invisible pocket. You see? Can you see our pockets? No, you can't. But look, there is a pocket. Walter matches them right up. So that's just a sign of another level of garment sewing. Yeah, makes me sick. Let's see. I think a few people came in here. Melissa came in and Sherry came in. Hello, ladies. Sherry says, "Be nice, boys." That is us being nice. You ought to see it when we're not. Diana Miller's here, and they like the bag. That's great. And nice laugh, Walter. Dubrovka says. Yeah, nice laugh. It's more of a
heckle.
Yeah, that would be a good
Cackle?
cackle. That would be good.
Which is
Yeah,
cackle?
cackle. Yeah. Well, it's evil no matter how you slice it. So, anyways, that's what we've been up to. So, what's coming up? Well, Sewing with Stephanie and Steven on Wednesday, as per usual. Starts at 9 o'clock. Links are in the show note. Um, and while I'm talking about Stephanie, Stephanie has a new pattern called Stars Shine. It's a gorgeous pattern. She's doing it in Corey Yoder fabrics as well, and it is available on her Etsy store. And she did put out a video as well talking about the kit that she has for that. So if you go to Stephanie Stitches, her Etsy store, and look for it, it will be there for you. So gobble it up because they go quick, very quick, the kits. I imagine she'll have lots of copies of the pattern available, but the kits are probably limited, I believe. And if I'm saying something that's not true, Stephanie, you can correct me in the chat here. Pop-up sew day. We're having one. Yes, this Saturday coming. Link is in the show notes for it. Tomorrow, the information to the mailing list people will go out, and in all my videos this coming week, the link for it will be there as well. So if you can join us now for the Canadians, which I am one of, and Walter is too, it is the long weekend here because it's Canada Day a week from this Monday coming, July the 1st. That's to put it in a way Americans can understand, it's our Independence Day. It actually isn't our Independence Day. We used to call it Dominion Day.
Yeah, Dominion
because
Day.
We were a dominion of the British Empire for many, many years in our lifetime. When we were seen as or called the Dominion of Canada. But we are no longer that, but we keep certain traditions. And July 1st is the day that in 1867, Confederation was official. Actually, Confederation happened, or part of it happened a few years before that. But anyways, we set July 1st, 1867 as our marker, and I believe this will be our 157th anniversary. As a country. Not as old as the United States, but bigger and better in every way. We're practically perfect, in every way. But whatever. So pop-up sew day this coming Saturday. 8 a.m. I open up the doors, so to speak, and we run till about 5. Come and go as you please. Work on whatever. Have a good time. We put up on Friday on So Chatty. Walter Does Lucey Part 3. So that's when he gets right in there with the quilt path and going to town on Lucey. So if you haven't seen that, you might want to check it out. Apparently, I've had a few comments where people thought it was hilarious. I don't remember anything in it being funny, but apparently we're funny. Not always in the nicest of ways.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right.
Right. Oh, you're Mr. Personality minus. Yeah, really. Okay, whatever. So, someone did mention about the jelly roll race. Stephanie had on her channel on Friday. We did a jelly roll race. There was Stephanie, and there was Russ from Quilt Meets World, and there was Ingrid, and Shannon was there, wasn't she? Yeah. Yeah, Shannon was there. From Slay Arts. Did I miss anybody? Ingrid had a friend with her as well. I believe her name was Colleen, I think. Not sure. You're radio touch.
I didn't. I was on there, but I didn't take note of who else on there.
Well, I don't know. Watching a jelly roll race.
You, Russ, Shannon.
Yeah. Yeah, the usual bunch. And Ingrid.
And
And Colleen. Ingrid's friend. Were there. They were sharing one spotlight in there. So it was kind of fun. I had never done a jelly roll race before. So this is my first. And it turned out pretty good. I mean, you can't really blow it. I mean, it's a great way to use up a jelly roll you just got hanging around as well. And we're doing it for charity, Stephanie said. So mine is earmarked for Project Linus, which is the group that gives quilts to children that are in a traumatic, stressful, illness-related kind of situation. you've heard me say, I've already donated, how many quilts have I donated to them? Last time was 6. The time before that, I think it was 4. So I think I've given them 10 quilts already. So this will be one more. And speaking of donations for quilts, we got an invitation. Not until November, but if you remember, and you probably don't, a year ago, right around this time of the year, I donated a quilt to Quilts of Valor, the Canadian branch of Quilts of Valor. And we went down to where the lady that represents the closest branch to us, we went down to her place. Lovely lady, met her husband, who's a veteran, and they had a couple of people there that were the husband, a couple from out west that are friends of theirs, and the husband, he was a veteran as well. And both of them had received Quilts of Valor, and they showed them to us. They showed us pictures of when they received them and everything. And that was when, you really understand the importance of Quilts of Valor, because their stories about it and how much it meant to them were very moving. So anyways, Danielle is the name of the lady. She contacted me the other day and said they hadn't yet presented my quilt to a veteran, but they had one that what they had already designated it for, and they were trying to set up the presentation ceremony, because she had mentioned to me when I donated it that if I was interested when they went to present it, if I wanted to come to the presentation, and as long as the person receiving it was okay with somebody from outside of his family or whatever coming to the presentation, that she would let me know. And I said, yeah, I would be kind of interested. I'd like to see how that works. I've never been to one before. So anyway, she said, yeah, they're going to present it on November the 9th. And they're doing it down at the Army base that's in a place called Trenton. And Trenton's about, an hour to the east of us? What are you looking for? Feeling up? What's the matter?
Making use of my time while...
Your rear end is still there. It didn't drop off, believe me.
I'm making use of my time while you're blabbing on. So.
Well, why don't you tell us a story? We're all ears. Let's hear a story. Go ahead.
I'll tell you about the ruler that you screwed up on.
What ruler?
The one you were trying to make me cut my squares.
Oh, okay. We'll come to that. Yeah, you're just dying to get into the dirt, aren't you? We'll come to that. Anyway, so we got invited to this, and they're also having a sew day. And they're putting it in, this place is an hour east of us. It's called Trenton. It's a military base, Air Force base, actually. And they have a museum, Air Force Museum there on the property, I guess, and that's where they do the presentation. And so she invited us to come see the presentation, but also bring our sewing machines, because they're all going to get together. There's a group of them that get together every week there, and they're going to sew. So it's on a Saturday, so we thought, yeah, that might be kind of fun. So we're going to do that. She's got to give me more details about it, but that was kind of out of the blue. So yeah, kind of interested in doing that. So
Barb's asking, why does it take so long to present a donated quilt?
That is a very good question, because they just don't give it to anybody. You have to apply for it, or your family has to apply for it for you. There's certain criterion. They just don't give it to anybody.
Well, not only that, don't they put a special patch on the back
Yes,
of them?
they put a special label on it, the whole bit. And yeah, and they have to set up a time too, like where those people can come, and give them fair warning of when it might happen. So if they want to invite friends or relatives to it, they can. So, you have to have been in active service to get it. Now, the rules in the States, before anybody starts saying, well, that's how they do it here. In the States, the rules for Quilts of Valor in the States and the rules for Quilts of Valor in Canada are slightly different.
I thought you also had to be injured or
yes, I think
had something traumatic happen to you.
You had. It's not just a question of serving. You also had to have something that happened to you, like, that was a traumatic event, whether you were wounded or whatever, in that kind of thing. So that's the requirements in the Canadian, and there's a few others too. So I guess it takes some time, and they like to match the quilt up to the individual as well. There are certain veterans who do not want anything that is a symbol of Canada on the quilt. I'm not sure what their reasoning. I think in certain things can be triggers for them if they're suffering from, was it PTSD? Yeah, as well. So they're very, very careful about, who gets it and making sure that the quilt matches the person as well. So I imagine that takes time to do that. So let's just see here. Lynn is here. Hi, Lynn and Cindy. And as watching work with Lucy, Jean E is here. You left before I enabled everyone to buy decorative webbing for our bags. Well, I saw yours, Sue, that you had. So yeah, that was cool. I really like that. Lewis says, switching to my TV but can't chat, so have a good weekend, everyone. Okay, Lewis. Heather's here. Do they have presentations for each province? Yes, they do. And for certain areas within each province. They have districts, I guess, with it. So, anyways, that was really nice to hear about that. And let's see. What else? Okay, so we just got off of a retreat that Stephanie and Shannon were sponsoring. And we made a quilt, a picnic quilt, actually. There was a theme. Beach bum. Is it beach bum?
Something like that.
Somewhere. It had to do with beach. Life's a beach. So is your wife. Whatever. But that's another story. And yeah, so we did. Stephanie's quilt was really nice. And Shannon had a beach bag that involved some canvas and some pockets that we foundation paper pieced. And
oh, there was a lot to do.
There was a lot. Yeah, there was a lot. I did not get either project done, but that's okay. I'll get them done eventually. But yeah, and I think there were
lots of pieces to cut out.
Yeah, lots of cutting. And Walter's just dying to tell you about my little...
Yeah, so I'm going to cut the pieces.
Fine, why don't you just...
out. And Steve says, well, one of the pieces has to be a 5 3/8 inch square, right? So he says, I've got this special ruler all marked off so you can make one of these 5 3/8 squares.
You take a 6.5 inch square ruler, you take painter's tape and you mark, because the 1/8 of an inch are not as easy to see on some rulers. And so he has no problem. He deals in 1/8 of an inch with garments all the time because he's got a very petite figure, and that's why he needs to deal with 1/8 of an inch. Yeah. Ha ha. So I use some painter's tape to mark off on the ruler where 5 3/8 were. So you use it like a square, right? You just all you have to do is put the edge of your fabric and the bottom of it up against, where those lines are. And
yeah. So anyway, I go to cut my my squares out. He says, "Oh, cut them down to 5.5, and then just trim it using this ruler, right?" So I've got it, and I'm trimming it, and I'm going, one side looks a little different than the other side. So I look very carefully at the ruler, and he's got it marked off as 5 3/8 on one side and 5 2/8 on the other. So I ended up cutting them all by myself anyway.
Well, you would have anyways, because you wouldn't want to do anything that I do, because what do I know?
I did that on purpose just to screw me out.
I did. That was my plan. It almost worked. Damn. Yeah, whatever. But
you're an idiot.
And like I said, you're an asshole. So whatever. I'd rather be an idiot than an old asshole. So, anyways, it didn't end there, because I cut all my pieces and everything in advance of the retreat, of course, like we were supposed to. And
there's supposed to be A pieces and B pieces.
And I got those screwed up. Well, I didn't get them screwed up. I had those cut right, but when I laid them out, I had everything nicely laid out on a design board in piles, ready to go. And the first 2 blocks I made were fine. They worked out great once I got over the geometrics, because I am geometrically challenged. Not a fault with I didn't want that. Go away. I didn't, no fault with Stephanie's pattern or anything like that. It's just when I see triangles, yeah. I don't, for some reason, I get all screwed up with putting things down. But anyways, the first 2 blocks I made were fine. Not a problem. Then I made the 3rd block this morning. And it's wonky. And I can't figure out why it's not adding up to the measurements it should have measured up to. Then he comes downstairs and I said, I am in real trouble here. I don't know what's going on. Why you've got, and that's when he tells me about the ruler. But that wasn't enough to put my block out. My problem was there were A pieces, there were B pieces. I mixed them up. And when you do that, things don't come out the way they're supposed to. So anyways, that didn't really start off my day in a happy mood. But I managed to solve the problem. I thought oh God, before I figured out that I'd had the A and the B pieces mixed up, I thought I've got a whole bunch of stuff here wrong. And I'm going to have to open up another fat quarter bundle and do that and start all over. And I'm never going to get this thing done. And I was really proud of myself that I was so organized and had everything laid out in the whole bit. But when I did discover it was just a mix up with the A pieces and the B pieces, no problem. And that little mistake between 2/8 and 3/8 did not cause me a major problem or anything. My pieces came out the right size. And actually, I'll show it on the Idiot Quilter, but you can have a little sneak peek. There it is behind us. It's not done yet, but the blocks are done. So, yeah. It's a great pattern. It's fun. And, you could make it in any fabrics that you wish. So, yeah. And people did. So people worked on that during the retreat in the morning. And in the afternoon, we worked on Shannon's bag. And as we speak, I think the retreat is still going on because I don't think it ends until 5. So Stephanie's been in here and out of here. She's double dipping between the two. So anyways, if you've never been to one, watch for whenever Stephanie announces the next one that they're having. And yeah, you do have to pay for it, but it's not that expensive, $40. And you get 2 instructors. So, not a bad deal, really, with it. So, and you get free patterns. Well, they're not free, you paid for them, but I mean, you know what I mean, in there.
It says, Dana says, who figured out A does not equal B? Well, I figured that out early. I marked all my pieces A's and B's.
I figured it out all on my little lonesome, Dana. Walter did not point it out to me because he didn't know what problem I was having. He saw the block, though, and I said something went terribly wrong here. And you know what Walter did.
I was about to say your A's, your A's and B's.
Oh, you were not. You were not. You liar, pants on fire. Yeah. He just lives for my mistakes. Pat's here and Karen is here. Dana's here. Jen is here. Let's see, just catching up. Jan is here. Hi, Jan. What's new, pussycat? She got all those pussycat emojis there. Yeah. And it says, next week it will just be Steven. Ha, ha, ha. What, on here? No, maybe just Walter. Derek's here. Hi, Derek. I spent yesterday trying to do my cutting for Tracy Perk's Thistle Whispers quilt pattern. Didn't realize the breeze from the window had turned the page and I was cutting the wrong pieces. Oh, that's actually, yeah, I've done that. It wasn't a breeze. I've just somehow got 2 pages stuck together and didn't bother and just kept on going and went, something's not right. Yep. Notice though, Walter didn't call you an idiot, but he'd call me that. Thanks, Stephanie. Dana says, oh yeah, so Barb says Stephen quickly figured it out before Walter found it. Yeah. Well, I thought I had cut things wrong, especially after he told me about the 5 3/8 problem. He just loves that. He loves it when I make mistakes. He's nasty like that. So anyways, it's been a busy weekend with all this sewing and everything going on. So yeah, but I'm not complaining about it, except now I've got so many things on Lucey that need to be done. And I know someone's going to say, well, now that Walter knows how to use it, he could just do them for you.
No.
Yes,
I don't know how to do it.
No, you don't.
Just because I did it once.
That's right. You don't know how to do it. Good. So next, no, not next week. in a couple of weeks' time or that, we're going into the city, into Toronto. We're meeting up with some friends of ours that we see about. Well, we haven't seen them. When was the last time we
We
saw
saw
them?
them a year and a half ago.
Was it a year and a half ago?
Well, we were going to see. No. We saw them last summer. They
Yeah,
came
I
out
thought they
last
came
summer.
out here last summer. Anyways, they live right downtown in Toronto, so we haven't been downtown Toronto in ages.
Yeah, to the point where new buildings are there that we never knew existed before.
Yeah. So we're going there and we're gonna take a little walk around the streets of it and that kind of
Hopefully
thing.
not get shot.
Yeah, hopefully not get shot. That's always a good thing. Yeah, I don't like bullet holes. Don't want to bleed all over your shirts that you make me. So that's coming up in a few weeks' time. We're having din-dins, as I said earlier, over at my sister's place. I wonder if my nephew's still going out with that same
Oh,
girl.
that lady.
Yeah, that. You know, at his age, you don't know whether to call them a girl or a lady.
Yeah, I
You know
know.
that because
He's getting kind of old.
a little long in the tooth. Yeah, really. But I don't know. Well, we'll find out.
Lady friend.
His lady friend, yeah, lady friend. So that's we haven't been over to Lori's since before
Last year.
Christmas,
Yeah.
before we went to the retreat.
Yeah, well, that was because we weren't around for
No,
Christmas, and then we weren't around for Easter, so
no,
we usually get
oh, that's
together
right.
at holidays.
Yeah, usually on
I
that.
mean, we were in Australia, so
Yeah, so
and then yeah, so I guess she feels obligated to have us over.
yeah, I guess. Well, whatever. Well, actually, we haven't had them over here in a long
No, I
time.
know.
But you know, I play the old man card. Oh,
Mm.
thank you, dear. So nice of you to have your old brother over for dinner.
Mhm.
I mean, after all, I am 8 years older than she is. Um, Hi, Cheryl. Dana says that was a very quick no, Walter. Yeah. Diana Smellers here. Stephen, embroidery library folks are having a gnome design day today. Have fun shopping at one of your neighbors. So I didn't know that. I didn't get it. I don't think I got an email about that. I usually get emails from them. And Dubrovka says we were just there in Toronto, so busy. Yeah, Toronto it's a mess. It's a mess. Everything is dug up, under construction. It looks dirty. It is dirty.
I think there's a lot of homeless people around.
Oh, yeah.
too.
Well, there's all those refugees that don't have anywhere to go because Trudeau said, yeah, come to Canada. And they all went to Toronto and there's nothing there to support them. We've had that conversation before. Yeah. And Toronto's a broken city anyways. Their infrastructure is collapsing. They have no money to repair it. It's just badly managed. All they do in their city council is just fight. I mean, the biggest fight now is the fact they want to change the name of Dundas Square, which is right in the center of downtown Toronto, and there's a street there called Dundas, and apparently the street is named after some guy from 100,000 years ago who was a slave trader or something, or didn't do anything to stop the slave trade or whatever. And so there's been this big uproar, and they got a name for it that no one can pronounce. It's indigenous, and it's about this long. And I don't know what it is because
Yeah, you know what'll happen? They'll short form the name. It won't be able to pronounce it. They'll short form it to something else, and it won't be popular.
Yeah. And
it's sort of like the University of Ontario Institute of Technology.
They keep changing its name.
They named a university up here to make it sound like MIT, right? They because it was a technology university, they called it University of Ontario Institute of Technology. So the kids all started calling it UOIT.
Yeah.
So then they changed the name again. Now it's Ontario Tech University.
Yeah.
Now it's OTU.
Yeah, OTU, like really, it's crazy. Of course, Toronto's claiming that it's not going to cost the taxpayers a cent to change the signs and everything like that. That'll all be covered by businesses through some fund that they have. I don't know how they figure that. I don't know.
They spend too much time on changing the names.
Yeah, I mean, really. Yeah, Dubrovka says so much construction all over. Yeah, and Cindy says haven't been to Toronto since 2002. Oops, we need Archie Bunker to clean this crap up. That's a dated comment right there. So anyways, yeah, I bought a new toy. I bought an early birthday present for myself. I bought a new 3D printer, and that'll be on my vlog on Monday, showing you my print mill. Does he have one? What are you?
Yeah, okay. I wasn't sure you had 4 or 5.
I have 5. Count them, 5. Yeah. So I'm a happy little 3D printer person. Yeah. Barb says, in Calgary, we have a water restriction because the main feeder line burst. The city of San Diego has sent 2 pipes here. Still looking at several weeks before everything's back to normal. Yeah, we heard about that on the news as well. But they have to get pipes from San Diego? Like, that seems weird. I don't know. Can't they grow pipes out in Calgary? I mean, they grow everything else. So, I don't know. But
anyway. Next thing you'll hear is that they'll burst because they're not designed for a cold weather.
Canadian weather, yeah. Right, that will be the thing. Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. The infrastructure in most cities, I think, is broken.
Yeah, the problem is that a lot of the infrastructure was done in the 1800s and stuff like that.
Yeah, in Toronto.
And if they haven't upgraded it, then it's bound to go.
And they keep building. How many more buildings can you get in downtown Toronto? In fact, there's so little space that they're making them tall and skinny.
Yeah, and then there's one big, huge development right in a major intersection in Toronto, where the people that are the company that is constructing it went bankrupt. So they were building an 80-story tower, and there's only 50 stories of it built right now, and they're trying to get somebody to take it over. And there's a glut of condos on the market in Toronto that nobody can buy, nobody can sell. So who knows where this condo project's going?
But they just keep building. And we saw something last night from a news program on YouTube about the number of condos in downtown Toronto that are just empty because they were bought by speculators. And now they can't sell them. And some of these are no bigger than a walk-in closet, like 300 square feet, 360 square feet.
One was 320 square feet.
Like, well, at least, you could, it wouldn't take much to clean.
Yeah, you just wear a couple of Swifters and spin around
the room and it's done. Yeah, for sure on that. Barb says San Diego donated them.
Oh. Well, I'd get rid of them probably.
Oh. Yeah. Send them to Canada.
They're defective.
Yeah. Pam says, can you make bubble heads of the 2 of you on 3D printers? That would be a scream and a half. No. Is the answer. There are things you can get, and I've played around but didn't have a lot of luck with it, that are 3D scanners. And basically you can take an object, put it on like a rotating little platform kind of a thing, and this takes pictures. It's an app actually you can get for your iPhone. And as it's going around, you have this thing, it picks up a piece of it and it puts it all together in the software, and then you can make it into something that you can print out on your 3D printer. But I tried that. I didn't have a lot of luck with it, but I didn't have a lot of patience for it, and that was a few years ago. They've probably gotten better. But they use them in like the Smithsonian and places like that. What they do is they take, large sculptures or whatever, and they have like a giant scanner thing for it. They're not using their phone with it, and they scan these things into the computer and it becomes something that can be 3D printed. So it is kind of amazing technology when you think about it. I'm still having fun with my dragons, and I tried to do one I thought was going to be clear.
Pull up one of their dragons. Have you shown it on?
Yeah, they've seen my. I've shown them on the other ones, but yeah, I can show my dragons. Actually, keep them amused. I'll just grab the other one. Colored in here.
I'm not too talkative. That's why the problem. I have the talking head over there.
And yet he says he doesn't get a word in edgewise. Okay, what do you want? Here, hold my dragon. So here's a couple of them. This one, I love this filament. It is fun. In fact, I'm giving one of these today to my niece because my niece is majorly into Dungeons and Dragons. So she'll really like this. And the other one's one same dragon design, except that I saw something and then
What is that?
Yeah. And they had printed something, not a dragon, but in clear filament. But it was actually a resin print, which I didn't realize. So I bought this filament, and they called it clear, but it's not. It's white.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do a hunt, though, and see if there is such a thing as a clear. I think these dragons would look really cool.
I don't think it'll print clear because it's doing layers and layers, right?
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. Whereas a resin printer does things in a different way, but they're fun. You can put that over by the other one, please. Mm-hmm. Derek says politicians too busy approving buildings for their billionaire friends instead of maintaining service. This is a big issue for our upcoming election over here. Debate becoming pretty heated.
We have that in our province. The premier in our province right now is Conservative Party, and they're really big business. So, and they're doing everything to try and promote business stuff.
Yeah. Wild Rose Treasures is here. Great. Derek says the dragons are larger than I expected. 3D printing has really come on quickly. Some of the colleagues using it to print models for classes instead of buying them. Yeah, it has come since I started in I bought my first 3D printer
a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, well, before
it was during the pandemic.
It was during COVID, yeah.
Yeah.
And now I have 5 of them. But and I've learned a lot about the technology and how to maintain the machines, how to fix them when problems go, because you do have problems.
But you're finding that the new one you bought 2 new ones.
Yeah.
And the new ones are designed a little better.
They're almost pretty much plug and play right out of the box. The ones I first bought, definitely not. But these new ones, easy to assemble. You assemble them within 15 minutes, and you'd have your first print within half an hour from them. So they're...
Yeah, and they do these... you had trouble creating these...
Yeah, on the older ones.
These all print as one piece. But they're movable.
But they're articulated.
Right? And the other ones that you had trouble printing these.
Yeah, because of the tolerances, the spacing between the links that are built into it, they're too close, they just fuse together. But on these new printers that I have, and a lot of that has to do with what they call leveling. And actually, since 2 of my printers, my older printers, I put on a leveling kit. It's a special device that touches the build plate where these things are stuck to, and it measures in microscopic measurements, the rises and falls in it that you really can't see with your naked eye. But 3D printing, they're so sensitive to that kind of thing. They need to be as close to perfectly leveled as you can get them, and used to have to do that manually. And it was a pain in the butt. And I still have one printer I have to do manually.
Your leveling tolerance between the nozzle and the bed that you print on is the thickness of a sheet of paper.
Yeah. It's about it's less than 1 millimeter. It's like about 0.01 or 2 millimeters. So yeah, it's a tricky little business. Used to give me a great headache, but these new ones I bought, they've got it all built into them, automatic, away it goes. It's great. Heather says, how sturdy are they? Pretty sturdy. Pretty sturdy. You could break them. You could. Like if you grabbed a hold of them and, give
them a good yank.
And gave them a really good yank with them. Yeah. But they're not fragile. They're not really that fragile. Derek says, well, I thought the articulation means they would be printed in separate pieces. Impressive. Yeah, the technology is called print in place. If you're into 3D printing, anytime you see something that's articulated, but it says it's print in place, it means it does the whole thing without having to have separate parts printed, and then you have to attach them in some way. It does them all like that. So it comes, what you see right there is exactly how it came off the printer.
I had to peel off a little bit of what they call a, a, a brim, which is just some excess filament that makes sure it sticks to the build plate, and it just peels right off from the bottom of it. Yeah, it's
Yeah, they do all kinds of moving objects and stuff like that. You did the slinkies there too, right?
Oh yeah, the slinkies.
Yeah.
These are our print in place articulated. Slinky, a slinky, it's fun for boys and
And you did the swords.
well, yeah, but I think that well,
The one's kind of rude.
oops. And this, no, it's not what you're thinking. It is a sword. Watch your head. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. And that was all done in one piece. But it did look kind of rude when it was printing because that's how it printed. But, yeah. So, yeah, you see, I have so much fun with my printer. The one thing I haven't tried to do yet is to make a really large print that is all separate pieces. It has to be put together because those you need to have screws and things which are easy enough to get. Sometimes some of them move and you need certain bearings that go in them. In fact, I have some bearings. I think I bought some at one point in time and never did anything with them. So I have not attempted anything like that yet. But I should. I really should. I need to extend it myself a little bit more with it. That's how you learn. So yeah, they're fun. So you might want to think of that for someone's birthday. They're not expensive either, really. I mean, the newest ones I have are under $400.
Canadian.
Canadian.
Right?
Yeah. So for Americans, it's what, $1.50? Yeah. So, and you can get them on Amazon.
Yeah.
Now, there's all kinds of different makes. Mine are Creality. That's the brand that I use. Why? That's what I started with. They were the easiest ones and the least expensive for starting models. And they are pretty much still, but they've kept up with the technology. They're constantly improving them, putting out better models and things like that. You can spend thousands of dollars on a 3D printer if you want to get into it. And then there's ones called resin printers, but they need to be ventilated because they're basically liquid resin and ultraviolet lights. And I'm not
You have to do something to, like, once the print's done,
yeah,
you have to expose it to ultraviolet light so it hardens.
Yeah.
Or something.
It's more involved, but it gives you better detail. And they're tougher than doing the kind of thing that I do. So if someone was asking about breakage or whatever, so you can do really fine pieces, but they're
but the other thing is they have to be vented because they give off fumes. Yep. Whereas the ones that Steve has don't really give off
fumes or anything like that. So yeah, but what I'd really like, but I have no place for it, is one of those laser cutters. That those are cool, except they have to be ventilated and they're big. You have to have a space for them. We'd have to like redo the whole garage and put it in, and Quilter's car would have to come out of there. And well, that's not happening. By his words, not mine. He kicked my car out. First day he brings home the other car, get it out. It's not going back in there. Mine's going in the garage. So it did. So anyways, yep. So that's a lot of things that are coming up. So another thing that is coming up next weekend besides Canada Day is the annual Pride Parade in Toronto, which usually attracts well over 1 million people. If you think Toronto, those of you that have been to Toronto recently thought it was a zoo down there then, don't go next weekend.
Yeah, I think they're estimating like 3 million people or something.
Oh yeah, it's an incredible zoo.
We're not going.
We're not going. We used to go.
When it was smaller, and now it's so busy and so congested. It's just not worth it.
No. Hi, Kim. Yeah.
And if it's a hot day, you melt.
Yep. And there's nothing worse than a sweaty drag queen.
And if it's a bad day, if it rains all day, then everybody gets wet.
Do you know what a wet lesbian smells like when she dries out in the sun? Well, think about sheep. But you may think I'm joking. I'm not. But I thought we would take an opportunity to talk a little bit about the LGBT community today because, well, what got me thinking about this was I had a little rant on Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen the other day because some people think that it's okay to say something about members of the LGBT community that are negative, but those same people would never think to say to the face of somebody from, say, the Black community or an ethnic community and say things like what they think they've got the right to say to somebody who's a member of LGBTQ. So I had a little rant about that because there's a lot of misconceptions about what LGBTQ is. And this comes from the far right, and it comes from a lot of Christian groups, and I'm sorry, but it does. Don't know what their agendas are, but they have an agenda. They think that members of the LGBT community are a threat to family values. Don't know how you figure that.
We all came from families.
Yeah, we're not a threat. That we are all grooming children by way of having drag queens in libraries, reading books to them, to material that's in libraries that might suggest, like my two dads, my two moms, or something like that. There was a book a few years ago that was very controversial about a gay relationship between two penguins, and it was a children's book. Forget what that book was called. It was a really good book, actually. But they get really uptight about this stuff. And I say, stick your nose in somebody else's business because you haven't got a clue what you're talking about. We are not a threat. We're just like anybody else. We're human beings. You've heard the expression, love is love. It's everybody's right to love the person they want to love. And it doesn't matter if that person has to be of the same sex or not. Doesn't matter. We pay taxes, just like everybody else. Most time, you definitely in your neighborhood, you want a gay couple to move in because you know damn well right their yard is going to be perfect.
Our yard's not perfect.
Yeah, but we look after it. And when I say we, you, on that, yeah. So where does this all come from? Well, this didn't just spring up last year or last decade or any of this kind of stuff. There is a YouTube channel, and I've put a link to it in the show notes below you can go to, and it's about the history of, and I hate this word, homosexuality. I hate that word, but that's what it was called, and still is in some circles. And there's a whole history. And since the beginning of time, there have been gay people or members of the LGBT community out there. And in fact, there's not only just been gays and lesbians, there's been bisexual people. There's been transgendered people. Some of them were royalty. Some of them were in positions of power as well. And I'm talking about transgendered. Nobody knew. I mean, there were rumors that Joan of Arc was not a woman. Okay? And there is evidence to suggest that that's true. There was some princess or queen of Sweden in history who had everybody fooled. They thought she was a man. And if they'd known she'd been a woman, she wouldn't have been able to rule. So she did. And I think she did a very good job. There was talk about one of the popes. And there's a whole thing you look up, Pope Joan, that was actually a woman. So there you go. So there's your transgendered people there. And so they've always been here. It's not anything new, but the far right and those that have a bone to pick for some reason, they want to make it sound like this is just a trend. And we're trying to convert people to join the tribe, to take over the world. We're not aliens, okay? That isn't happening. So it gets us really pissed off. We have suffered from discrimination in our own life. And people think that discrimination only has to do with ethnic or religious background or color of your skin or whatever. They think that that's the only groups. No, they're not. Did you know? I mean, yes, we know about the Holocaust, but did you know that there were gay men rounded up just like Jewish people were by Nazi Germany and put into concentration camps, and they were experimented on as well, and it was part of Hitler's whole thing to eliminate not only the Jewish population but the homosexual population as well. What?
Skip back.
Oh, why don't you just stick your finger up your nose? Anyways, so, you know, we have been discriminated against. We ourselves have been discriminated against. I was in a dollar store one day where I got into a little conflab. It was during COVID with a woman who was pulling sort of the Trump card. And I mean that as a pun and in reality, in terms of the mask. And she had some kind of the bottom of a plastic Coke bottle or something on her face. Like, and it was full of holes. Like, so she could breathe, I guess. She was smart enough to realize you don't put plastic over your head, I guess. Although some, and I said to her, I said, you realize that that's probably not doing anything. It is my right. I don't have it. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, she just went off on the whole bit. So some other lady got into this fray too. And I guess this one that I was having the little argument with, she turned around and said like something about being gay. And I says, yes, I am. Thank you very much. And this other old lady got in and says, I hope you die from AIDS. Well, I hope you get run over by a
the
car.
F word too.
Oh yeah, faggot. Yeah. We don't use the F word except for people we don't like within the community. And we can. Because if the N word can be used by that segment of society and they claim they can, we can use the F word, but you can't unless you're one of us. Okay? But that's the whole point. We get discriminated against too. Now, have things gotten better? Yes and no. In Canada, it is much better than it is in the United States, in certain areas of the United States. In Canada, we are protected. We are written into the Human Rights Code. You can't discriminate against us in terms of jobs or other things or clubs or organizations or anything like that.
Businesses can't exclude you from being served in a business. So
yep. So, you know, we have the protections, but not all places in the world have those protections. And we live in a country that we're very lucky to live in.
There are areas in Canada where they push the limits as far as that. Like there's a town in Ontario that has circumvented rules so that they can like they want to force all businesses to close on Sunday and stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's the right. And it's the Christian right, okay? And I'm sorry if that offends some people, but that is the reality of it. That's it. And I'm sorry. You can practice your religion because you are protected in both of our countries to practice your religion or whatever. What it doesn't protect you from is or allows you is to discriminate against other groups or other people in society that don't necessarily believe in what you believe in. So that isn't right. And oh, we're so scary. Oh.
You are.
Well, I can be. I have been known to grow fangs if in the right environment. But, you know, it's stupid. And the thing, too, as I said, is, you know, I'm not going... we fought for years to get out of the closet. We're not going back in there. Okay? No way. It was traumatic for us to come out. It affected us. It affected our families. It affected our friends around us. We lost friends when they found out, but were they really friends? Is the way I look at it. I don't think we lost anybody of any importance. We were lucky. Our families were fairly open, and you know, it wasn't always that way, though. My family were a little bit...
We were resistance in our family.
Yeah, we had resistance, but, you know, over time, that's been worn down out of it. And they realized that what was the fear, you know, out of all of that. So yeah, it's a rough thing. So why do we celebrate Pride then? Well, that's why. We celebrate where we were at one point in time and where we are now. Now, I know that you will hear about Stonewall, which was supposedly got the whole gay rights movement started. That isn't absolutely true. It was a significant event in LGBTQ history, but it wasn't the only event. In fact, we had our own Stonewall in Toronto back in the, was it early 80s, late 70s? Um, they called it the bathhouse raids, which basically the cops came in, rounded up all the homosexuals at the bathhouses and charged them and dragged them off and beat them and did all kinds of horrible things. And the community rebelled, stood up against them. So that was probably 10 years after Stonewall, and Stonewall probably was an influencer on that as well. But there's been pockets of that kind of thing that have happened all over the world. It's just that Stonewall, we hear more about it and the significance of it. So that's why we have it. We celebrate the fact that we can be who we want to be, and just like any other human being on the planet. And the bottom line is we are human, you know? So we are sons and daughters and fathers and uncles and aunts and cousins to other people. We're caregivers, we're teachers, we're doctors, we're lawyers, we're Indian chiefs. Yes. And I do not make fun of that. They're called two-spirited people and are considered very special people within Indigenous communities. Kind of the reverse of the beginning parts of our history. But yeah, so it's all there. Anybody who says anything against the LGBT community, they're saying it out of fear. What do they have to fear? We're not going to come into your homes and drag your children off and do things to them. No, far from it. In fact, the majority of pedophiles are usually straight people, not members of the gay community. That's a statistic with that. Some people think we're mentally ill because nope. Some think it's a lifestyle, and I hate that word too. It's not a lifestyle. We didn't choose this. This is part of who we are. It's in our DNA. Okay. My sister has found that out. And my brother has found that out because they have one members. My sister, my niece is a lesbian, and one of my nephews, one of my brother's boys, is gay. So there you go. So I think that changed their mind too over time, because they then realized it had nothing to do with the way they brought up their children or anything like that. That's just the way it is. So, that's why we celebrate Pride, to let people know we're out there. Now, mind you, it's also a freak show. Pride Fest, because
there are some things that,
yeah, it's not PG, the parade, and people bring their kids in strollers to it. Well,
that's not entirely true. 99% of it is PG.
Yeah, but you get
and there's like 1% that isn't. So,
and that's what the news always focuses on. They always focus on the most extreme out there. So yeah, because it sells headlines, newspapers. Melissa said she went to New York Pride Parade and were almost trampled by the crowd. Scary. Yes, we went to the one in Sydney, Australia, on our second last trip to Australia.
Yeah, and they do it at night.
It's quite a spectacular
it's quite interesting to see. But because they're doing it at night, a lot of people seem to want to drink on the streets.
Yeah.
And it began to get a little bit too rowdy for us. So we had that. Not only that, there were a lot of smashed bottles.
There were smashed bottles. And
it wasn't just gay. Well, it wasn't just gay people that were there. Just like the parade in Toronto and that, And so then you get obnoxious drunk people.
Yeah, I had some woman trying to pick me up. Like, she was just blitzed out of her
Yeah,
mind.
so it wasn't maybe a good idea to have it in the middle of later in the evening. I mean, they've done. I don't know why they do it. I think they do it there because it's hot
Yeah,
during the day, and they do it there at night. It's a little cooler, so
yeah. But it is kind of neat to see it at night though, because everybody on the parade route, like in the parade, have in some form or fashion are lit up.
they're lit up, and they can use like black lighting
Yeah,
and give a really neat effect in that. So it is a little different.
yeah.
It's kind of nice to see. It's just too bad
The crowds are.
that the area that we were in, maybe it's not all, maybe it wasn't all, all the areas, but just the area that we were in was a little bit
Yeah,
obnoxious.
yeah, obnoxious for
And
sure.
it went on for a long period of time. We were getting tired. So
Yes. Cindy says, drives me crazy. I was both best man, maid of honor at my best friend's wedding to his husband. Are you transgendered? Can't be both. You're either the best man or the maid of honor. I mean, at our wedding, we had our witnesses. We did not call them our best man and his wife maid of honor. They were
witnesses.
our witnesses. Yeah, they were there. Our not attendants, our witnesses, I guess you would call it. Yeah.
I mean, you are allowed, because it's a gay wedding, to change the names
Yeah.
of the participants. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have to go with traditional names.
No. Dubravka says I worked and hired so many gay men in my lifetime, and they are the nicest people. Gay men have lovable heart. Love them all. Well, not all of them are.
No,
We've met some
bitches.
nasty bitches. Yeah, in there too. Yeah, like
Just like regular people, there's good ones and bad ones.
yeah, it works the same. Yeah. Derek says, think of all the harm that could have been avoided if people just let others be who they are. Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of, that being gay until late 1960s or something. No, might have been even into the 1970s, was still on the American Psychological Association's books as being a mental health disorder.
Yeah, but if you got into like the much older days, like, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Nobody seemed to care then. There wasn't any.
No, actually, before the Second World War, Berlin was a hot spot for what they call counterculture, which meant like gay, lesbian, transsexuals, transvestites, those are old terms, transgendered, the whole thing. It was the place to go to. And then, of course, that all died out when Hitler came in and he was rounding up the gays and taking them off to concentration camps.
In ancient times and that, there was like just people that were different, and they didn't really acknowledge that.
And in some cultures, people that were a little bit different like that were considered holy or worshipful. Like in the indigenous community, like I said, if someone's gay in that, they're considered two-spirited. And two-spirited are special. They treat them. They do not discriminate against them. In fact, they give them accolades. They treat them as honorable individuals, part of their society.
Well, since there's been Pride, then it's become a little bit more. Since it's become more accepted, people have been becoming more visible. So people suddenly find that they had gay friends that they didn't realize that they had gay friends, and or people at work found out that they were gay or something like that you may not have ever thought they were or anything like that. You just suddenly found out something different about them.
Well, I think that's what sometimes causes a problem, in that if someone doesn't suspect that someone that they work with or know is gay, and then when they come out, they don't know how to handle the information, because now it's suddenly like, you've kept a secret from me from a long time. in some cases that hurts the other person because they think, well, why didn't you feel confident enough to be able to tell me this, kind of a thing. Or they suddenly think this person has been living a lie. The one they knew has been living a lie. No, the lie they were living was not living their true life, not coming out. But then when they take a breath and think about it, they realize you're the same person always. This is just an aspect of you that I just didn't ever think about before. No big deal. And you hear people say that, well, you're still you. And that's right. This is just something I didn't share with you before. Because it's on a need to know basis, kind of a thing. Melissa says the Pride Parade here in Saskatoon is really nice size. My niece was in it. Yeah, it probably is because it's Saskatoon. And, you know, Toronto's a huge city, so that's why.
Yeah, and they have the largest parade in in Toronto, they have the largest parade in North America other than New York.
Yeah. Oh, Cindy says, I was both because I was witness for both and they jokingly called me that. Oh, okay, got it. Inez has a lot of gay friends. Party hardy. Nancy Lavature is here. Hi, Nancy. I have tons of gay friends. Are they heavy set? Did you weigh them? You want to know something about that expression? Okay. Not saying that you are using it that way. We cringe when we hear people say, oh, yeah, I know lots of gay people. I have lots of gay friends. Name two. You know? Or they say, do you know such and such? No. What do you think? He's not. Oh, I'm sorry. He's not in my registry, you know, like of all of this. And that's what it sounds like to us. Would you say to somebody else that was a straight person, oh, I have lots of, well, I have. Someone will say, well, I'm straight. And I go, well, great. I have lots of straight friends. Name two. You know, I'm being a little facetious here, of course. You know
Lydia
that.
says her brother came out in the 80s. Hello. We did too.
Yeah, Stu.
Went through hell and back and lots of discrimination. Yeah, we
did too.
We've been called names on the street.
We've been threatened.
I had my house egged once in Oshawa. We had our house egged in Whitby, our first house.
Yep.
And we had water balloons thrown at the house.
Yep.
Somebody screwed around, left beer bottles on top of my car. Stuff like that.
Yeah. And in fact, the Jehovah's Witness will not come to our door anymore. They discriminate against us. I'm really not that.
They make a bow around the house.
Yeah. Well, you see, they used to come to the door and I used to say to them, yeah, I know who you are. At that time, I was a Presbyterian. I said, and I'm a Presbyterian. I think one time they said, well, we talk to Presbyterians. I said, well, I don't talk to Jehovah's Witness. Goodbye. But finally, one time, they just got my goat. They came to the door, and I go, oh, I know you're Jehovah's Witness. I'm in a bit of a rush. Why don't you just come in, and you can have, I've got some beer or wine. You can have that. I just have to run my gay lover down to the hospital for a blood transfusion. They went silent. They left. And ever since then, they now make a big beeline around because we're the house of the devil. Don't you know it? Satan rules. So
I know there's a evangelistic couple that live 2 doors down from us, and the husband says hi to me, the kid says hi to me, the wife will not speak to me,
and they're
like she walks by. It's become a trend now. She walks her dog by the house, right? A lot of times she doesn't do that. She goes the other way. She walks the dog by the house, and I say, hi, how are you today? And she just ignores me. So I still do it.
Yeah. I think we should just get lawn chairs, sit out in their front lawn, and with pride flags and wave them. Just sit there. Hi. We're not on your property. We're on the sidewalk. Hi. We're having our own little parade.
But her husband's fine.
Yeah, I know.
And he stops and talks to me and stuff. Yeah. And her son's fine, but not her.
If anything, she should welcome us because she knows that all women should welcome gay people into their lives because you never have to worry about a gay person coming onto you. You know, you're always safe. In fact, when we were on a gay cruise once, there were a few straight women on that, and we asked, well, why did you guys come on a gay cruise? These were young-ish women, attractive, everything like that, you know, right at that point in their lives when I'm sure they were manhunting. They said, oh, we feel safe here, we don't have anybody hitting on us and we can have a good time. This is true. Okay, so, you know,
I mean, it's in those days. First one we went on was 2007. A lot of Americans went on it, and the reason they did, they were escaping having to play straight in their straight lives, and they could go and just party with everybody else.
Because they could also be fired if anybody found out at work about them. It could be grounds.
It could be open.
Yeah.
And a lot of those people, they told us that first time, they said, you watch the people leaving the boat at the end of the cruise will start to cry on the last day because they have to go back in the closet when they get home.
Yep. And there were some just weeping. They had this great week and the whole bit, and then they had to go back to their reality, which wasn't good. Hi, Jeannie. So, yeah. So, you know, if you have a problem with gay people, the problem isn't with the gay people. The problem is with yourself. You need to examine your values, your beliefs, and quite seriously, think about why are you afraid of gay people? Why? And don't give me the line that's an abomination. It is not. And Leviticus is not. People have taken all of that stuff out of context and made things up from the Bible to suit their purposes. No. If anything, gay people bring color into the world. Rainbows. Rainbows everywhere. You know, we fart rainbows. I mean, you know.
Isn't that a Skittles commercial?
Yeah, I guess so. Ride the rainbow. Or whatever. Yeah. Nancy says, so many of my friends have been treated so badly by so many, and I think when they have a straight friend who doesn't judge them, they can speak very freely and know that I truly am their friend. Yep. And it's good. We would call you an ally. Although I'm not so sure I like that term either. Because that suggests like people ganging up or, you know, that kind of thing. There's no gangs. There's not a whole bunch of gay people roaming the streets. Oh, honey, I hate that outfit. Oh, you're so ugly. You need work. I mean, well, it's better than guns. But, you know, no, doesn't happen. Doesn't happen with it. But whatever. And you get some good television shows too. Good comedy acts as well. So, and yes, you can tell jokes about gay people. In fact, some of the best ones are told by gay people. So, we don't mind. It's okay. It's fun. Just don't get uptight with me when I tell an Italian joke or a blonde joke or something like that. It's all in good fun. Yeah. Okay, so we got to go for din-dins. So we're going to stop here now. Thanks for joining us. Remember, Pop-Up Sew Day next Saturday, starting at 8 a.m., but come and go as you please. Link will be in the show notes for this today on the replay, and it'll be in everything next week as well. And everybody on the mailing list will get a mailing with the link for it. And yeah, so I hope to see lots of you there. Help us celebrate Canada Day. Walter may or may not be here.
And Pride Weekend.
And Pride Weekend, yeah. Happy Pride. Yeah, and all that kind of stuff too. Okay, so have a good one, and we'll see everybody again real